Hello, everyone. Welcome to my launch webinar for Defying Gentrification. Let me throw myself up here on the stage. I'm here at home on the couch. I'm launching this here with you today. I am Kristen Jeffers, pronouns she, they, and the Black Urbanist. And as you see below my title here, today is author and facilitator of the book Defying Gentrification. So I'm gonna camera back off myself, and I'm going to just walk you through what I have to share with you today. So this is going to be kind of a quick webinar presentation. I see several of you joining. I'm so excited to have you all here with me today. Just know that this is the beginning. This is like those of us who are in the AEC world, we like to call these things kickoffs. Today is our kickoff. Today is me showing you and talking about, okay, I'm writing a book called Defying Gentrification, and this is how it's going to look, because it's not just a book. It's actually going to be a journey we're going to go on together. One other thing I want to apologize for, some of the platforms that you are maybe streaming this on today do not have closed captionings. That's why I'm going to do my best to just stick with what's on the slides. I'll also be detailing this information in my email, on my email list. If you go on my, and I apologize for folks who go to theblackurbanist.com and try to subscribe to my email. I'm still porting some folks over for MailChimp. But either way, I am so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that the numbers are climbing. This is clearly something that many of us are interested in, are curious about, are needing. Feel free. I can actually see comments across various social platforms. Feel free to comment on whatever social platform you are on, where you're here from, and what you're hoping to get out of this. Know that this is like this is a one-way webinar. This is going to be a relatively short webinar, probably no more than 10 or 15 minutes. And then I'm going to talk about when the times are going to come back on video together, and opportunities to really dig deep into the information and be part of really what's going to be next for us with this work. So let me just linger this here. Defying Gentrification is a book title. This subtitle, a Black, queer, accessible, feminist, urbanist playbook for ending displacement. And so let me just get the slides started. Yes, I am publishing a book. So this webinar is really for my deep fans here today that have known that number one, 10 years ago, I published a book called A Black Urbanist, Volume 1 Essays. That sequence, kind of like what happened with Janelle Monáe, where she, now that she's living in the present, that sequence is kind of off. We're going to be, this is going to start a new sequence for me as far as book publishing. Yes, there are going to be not just one book, but there will be two books. And yes, this year, 2024, in fact, February 1, you will be able to pre-order the book. Originally, I'd hoped to have pre-orders for you today, but we're still working on editing. And yes, I do have an editor. They are wonderful. I want them to have the opportunity to make sure that they cover things that I need to cover. So hold tight with me on February 1 as we open up Black History Month in the US and the UK, and I believe Canada as well. We're going to have this book available for pre-order. We will be back here on all these platforms and a few extra ones. Thank you, StreamYard, for adding Instagram Live. So we will be back here across the internet on February 1, talking about what this book's about, what we mean by defying gentrification, what we mean by a Black, queer, accessible, feminist, urbanist playbook for ending displacement. We will have special guests. There are folks that are already reviewing review copies of this draft. There are folks blurbing for me, and some folks I got to send this draft to. We are literally doing this. We are doing this in the Q1 of 2024. We are writing some things, and we are not just launching one book, but we are, once again, February 1, 2024. This, just like this webinar showed up on whatever social platform you are looking at, this will show up on all the same places. And this video will also be archived on LinkedIn and YouTube. And I believe Facebook in my Facebook group, so you can go back, and if you missed some of what I had to say today, if this feels like it's going a little fast, I know we're 5 minutes in, don't be alarmed. We will be releasing a book. Me and the team that I pulled together will be releasing pre-orders on February 1, and on March 1, at least the digital copy will be in your hands. I need to check with Ingram Spark. I think they need like a 2-month window. So print copies may not hit you until like later in the spring. But if you pre-order on February 1, on March 1, there will be a ebook version of this workbook. And let's talk, but even the other thing that will happen, on March 1, we are also launching 2 courses that will go with this book. So yes, the book is called Defying Gentrification. Let's just sit with that for a little bit. I wanna go into more detail, but what I will say is, I've realized over the past few years, now back living in Washington, D.C. proper, at the District Wharf of all places, all the things that have come together so that I can live at this place. The minute I unpacked my first set of boxes, I'm like, you know what? I'm really defying gentrification. Now, of course, we're going to go into this workbook and these courses coming up. We're going to go into all the definitions. We're going to go into the relationship between gentrification and displacement. We're going to go into all of that. This is going to be a open conversation. I know my property managers, realtors, and everybody might just be wanting to pull at their hair right now. How you going to do this? How you not going to sell houses? How you going to pay for this? Stick with me. That's in the plan. We're going to do this, and we're going to talk about this. Now, those of you who've been rocking with me for a while may remember that there is a book coming that I've been trying to write for, really the book I've been trying to write for the last 10 years. It's called The Black Urbanist Journey into a Queer, Accessible, Feminist Future. What I'm thinking right now is this is going to be book number 3. After we've had some time with this workbook, these courses, there's going to be a defyinggentrification.com that has just the workbook pages where you can take the workbook pages online for free. So that is one thing about this, is going to be free, but that's probably going to be one of the other things. So yes, we will be going on that journey, this Black queer feminine Black urbanist journey to a queer, accessible feminist future. We will be doing that over 2 books and 2 courses over the next few years. And I say years because even though I'm self-publishing this workbook, even though I'm launching these courses today, or at least over the next few weeks, we will be my main book that will be going through main publishers with research and information that we will be collecting through this journey together, will be coming out in a few years. But we will be doing this workbook together. And it'll be the workbook. And a part of the reason I chose a workbook is because I wanted to start teaching courses. I wanted to get back to teaching courses. I want to thank everybody who stuck with me through the courses that I did in 2021. And so with those courses in 2021, I liked what we were doing, but I even didn't feel as rooted in. I learned a lot starting to do the information. So when we come back with these courses, this will be, we'll be tackling some of the same information, but we will be doing it in a way that makes sense to like what we're facing, those of us who are tangentially relating to the word gentrification, the idea of defying gentrification, being Black, queer, disabled, feminist, urbanist, and sometimes all of those together. We're working, I want us to be able to like work with that. I don't want this to be, now the 3rd book will be that book that everybody reads, and you read it and you let it soak in, and maybe you take action, maybe you even come back and join the big course. But I absolutely want to start doing the work with folks. I want to do the work with you. I would love to have you be part of this journey with me. I know I cannot, and I say this in the for the beginning of the workbook when I do a little biographical section. I cannot do this work alone. I cannot do this work without you. And there's so much work that's not just traditional urban planning work. There's self-care, community care work. There's also really brainstorming and breaking down systems. So that's why we're going to have a workbook. That's what's going to come out on March 1 in digital form, and possibly a little bit later in the spring, depending on printing. And of course, you may, if you do choose to order a print version to write in it, you may get that later in the spring. But, and then of course, I'm looking forward to getting back to teaching and guiding, as it were, not people, as we make sense of like the world that we live in. And so, as I just mentioned, some of this I just mentioned, that the second book, we will take all the information collected in our guided classroom sessions, which when we do our webinars, we will, later in the month, we will have a webinar that'll tease each course section, and we will talk about how those courses will work. Right now, I'm leaning towards a little bit of self-guidance with some like weekly meetings. I'm leaning towards like, being in a active group where for like say 90 days we do intensive work, and then we check in with each other on a monthly basis. Right now, that's going to be kind of the vibe of the guided classroom, but I'm teasing that right now, and I want to come back with you for later in February with all of that worked out. And once we get the workbook out of editing, and once we design it, and once we finalize all the worksheets in the book, which is what we're doing right now, I will have more details about what the guided classroom will look like and entail. But once again, if it's already kind of in your mind that you want to work with me in this kind of setting, go ahead and like kind of clear off your schedule in the spring and the summer and the fall of 2024, because we will be doing guided groups throughout them. And then we'll also have I've been talking about the Black Queer Feminist Accessible Urbanist Index. Those of you who saw me at Columbia University, those of you who have heard me on podcasts, there's a podcast that's coming out in a few days where I talk about this index. This is how we're going to build the index. I started a version of the index, and I want to thank everybody who did the index back pre-COVID. Back when it was kind of called a convoluted name, because I realized I hadn't actually come out to all of you publicly as a queer person. So some of y'all who read through those questions was kind of asking the questions to yourself. I want to appreciate you for doing that. And of course, we work in a realm like calling ourselves Black is not something that we necessarily did, especially those of us who are in the architecture, engineering, consulting world, where we are minorities, like legally, where there's all the minority supplier provisions, there's minority like DBE, disadvantaged businesses. Like when we're kind of in that framework, so it's easy to kind of fall into that language. But one of the things I want us to do in defining gentrification in our coursework, as you're filling out the index, as you're engaging with this material, and even if you just buy the workbook and you mark it up for yourself, especially when the sections that you see yourself in, because one thing about the workbook is that the workbook's going to have both halves of the class, but the courses are only going to be intensive for one half of the workbook. And I will spell that out for you when we do our next couple of videos about what this is all going to entail. But everyone will be encouraged to, yes, I want to shout out my cousin. Likewise, we gonna be a family of professors over here, telling the truth. And on March 1, even if you just want to come through, if you're not gonna like jump into like a full intensive course with me, what I want to hear from you when that survey launches on March 1 is, what is it like for you living wherever you are on this globe? So much of my work up to this point has been US focused, maybe Canadian focused, because of course I've spoken in Canada as well, and I've found things to thank you. I've found things that I've noticed when I go between those two countries, as it were, that share a continent. But there are other things, like I will definitely have language provision if you want to take it in a different language. I think at the launch we'll have it in English, but I think I also want to do very least a Spanish and possibly a French translation. But that's the thing. That's why we are on a journey. because I want to get as much information from you. I want to really get a sense of how things are going for us globally, and I want this to be a global index of what is it like to live somewhere in the world. So that's what the survey is going to entail. That will also drop on March 1. That'll be, you don't have to purchase the book to do that, but if you purchase the workbook, it will have the context. And then of course, if you go into coursework with me, it will have we'll go into even more detail and really be working on this together. So yeah, as I've teased throughout, I just want to reiterate this again. If you're going to join any courses, they will start on March 1, but we will preview each course section in webinars that will happen in February. And then we will be coming together and having another virtual talk like this on pre-order launch day. So we will basically be kind of having a little bit of a telethon. Click on Amazon or Bookshop, or go to your local bookstore. You will, with an ISBN, you can request this in your local bookstore. I encourage you to support Black and queer and disabled and women-owned feminist bookstores wherever you are on the globe. I also encourage you to maybe even hit up some of the box stores. Like now, because I'm self-publishing this workbook, I don't expect to see it on Target shelves, but a lot of folks have been surprised to see their books in box stores. But definitely, you can go to your regular bookstore and request it. I will be reaching out to several of those same bookstores. We will be partnering with them, and likewise, we will be partnering with bookstores that are run by accomplices like Scuppernong Books in Greensboro, who helped me when 10 years ago. 9 years ago to my first book talk there, but 10 years ago. This will be something that can be on the shelf. They can order it, and I definitely will come through there and preview this a little bit. But for right now, we'll stick with virtual. And of course, I'm going to make sure that wherever you are in the world, when we do our pre-order launch day, we'll do content that isn't like, oh, you got to watch it like right now. Just like right now. I'm thankful for everybody across all the time zones that is here with me and has spent almost 20 minutes with me, because I know there's a lot going on. But I think for many people, this is going to be something. For those of you who are not urban planners, but you're concerned about what's going on, like your rent is going up, your food is going up, just sitting and thinking about that. And of course, thinking about what we can do for our communities here on the earth. So yeah, make sure you are paying attention in February. And yeah, I will go ahead and I've been teasing it, but it's going to go into more detail when we get back together in February. So yes, we got work to do. And not all of the work is necessarily work. For some of us, this is work to start resting again. Work to start healing again, work to make sure that the homes we are in and the communities we want and need to steward, that they exist. So that's course section number 1. This is kind of geared towards those of us who have been displaced, who have seen things in our community displaced, who, when we think of the word gentrification, is automatically synonymous with displacement. I want us to not only have, I want to honor that in us. And I also want to give us the tools so we can speak to others who have a different relationship with this word. And I also want us to kind of assert our power and reclaim our power in the communities we need to steward. And then yes, other section is going to be for the folks who think that this is what we need to be doing, that there's some systems we got to dismantle. I'm not saying that we can't have commerce, but capitalism is taken, imperialism, and gentrification is often a function of those things. I mean, the very word talks about replacing one set of people that are poor with a set of people that are more wealthier. To me, everybody that's on this globe has a value, has wealth. So I want us to really sit with that. And this particular course section is going to be for my institutions. And I will talk through how institutions, universities, hospitals, nonprofit organizations, corporate offices, houses of faith. Now, houses of faith, I'm going to have you here. We'll talk through that depending on like the size of your faith community. Because the other course section is going to be more on an individual level, going to be more focused on like revolution in the body. We'll be doing things like, and actually I'm going to roll back the slide here. So if you're going to be in this course section, you're going to be more focused on like things like meditation, yoga, journaling, vision boarding. This is going to be more of the self-help portion of this, but we will be doing some critical coursework to make sure the visions we are creating do not oppress other people. We will be doing this in the community. We will be learning how to dream for ourselves without dreaming things that hurt other people, and namely places and things of that nature. And then likewise, this institutional course will help us in institutions. We will be pulling out pro formas. We will be looking at real estate markets. We will be looking at market research. We will be asking ourselves, okay, with the system that we have now, what can we do to break it down and put it back together? Like this course, we're not going to just break it down. We need to put it back together. Like people need us to put it back together. So we only have one Earth. So if you want a big why on why I'm doing this way and right now, this is yes, I have a subject knowledge area. I absolutely have a subject knowledge area. And I want us to be mindful that we only have one Earth. We might want to do all these things. Our dreams, our Earth dreams need to be synced together. We are seeing the effects of like pushing the Earth to its limits. Oil, the changes in weather, people on one side of the Earth living well and others aren't. And sometimes down the street, like living now in one of the most diverse wards of Washington, D.C., I see it every day. There's every economic strata in this ward. And the provision we have to live here at the District Wharf, it brings in middle-class folks, or at least middle-class on paper. So I see it all. I see all the dynamics. But it's literally the same neighborhood, and we are in the same Earth. And so that's why it's time for us to be looking at this. So we have made it to the end of today. That's right. I didn't keep you too long. Feel free to go back and watch this if you missed one or part of it. But the key things to know: Defying Gentrification, a Black, queer, accessible, feminist, urbanist playbook for ending displacement. This is the first of 2 books that are going to be coming out around this. This is going to be a workbook. There going to be a companion course with this workbook. We will be coming back on LinkedIn and YouTube and everywhere else that we are today, and a few other places that StreamYard allows me to go to. We will be coming back in February, starting on February 1st, with pre-order link for this workbook, registration for our course sections, and we will be throughout February, not on February 1. Now on February 1, I will be talking more in depth about the nature of the courses, but we'll also, each course section will have like a free course, as it were, companion, so that you can audit it and decide if you want to attend or if you want to sign up your organization. And then the organizational course, we will have the provisions that we need to get organizations signed up and signed in. You won't be pressured into like signing up at that point. The individual course, you'll be able to sign up there. There will be payment plans, all those things, but I have selected a rate for it that I think will work for many people. If not, and in this, I will also, mark your calendars, folks, for February 1st. All the information will be coming. We're still getting a lot of the back end stuff together, editing, getting things set up. This will be a book that you can request in your libraries. This will be a book that you can request on at your bookstores. This will be everywhere books are sold that will pick up this workbook. And then down the line, and then also we will have the survey, and you'll be able to contribute to the survey. And then in a few years, we will have another book with everything that we did together. And that will be on shelves. And that'll be the one you can kind of just casually read, even though it's going to have a lot of information because we're going to be working together. But this one's for those of you who are ready to kind of get to work, both giving yourself the gift of having something that you can look towards that will help you manage your workload, and people will be incentivized and demanded to break down these systems so we're not having to create these containers for ourselves. Because remember, we are on the same earth, y'all. So you can if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and subscribe to the email newsletter. You will get a recap of this tomorrow in your email. YouTubers, feel free to go back and feel free to share that YouTube link out to other people. And then you can also go to theblackurbanist.com. You can click on subscribe and read the newsletter. There will be a recap of this on the page, and you'll start, and there will also be a defyinggentrification.com, which will start to get populated with this webinar and all the other webinars. There will be a homepage. There will also be at theblackurbanist.com/book. It'll be blackurbanist.com/books. We will go into detail about what we've been doing and what we're doing, the survey, all of that. So definitely go to your, be on the lookout for your emails. If you're on LinkedIn now, make sure you're subscribing to my newsletter on LinkedIn. That way everything's in one place. All these videos will be on LinkedIn. All these webinars will be on LinkedIn. All the email information will be there too. So I know many of you are busy, and we will talk about this notion of busyness in our resting and healing coursework. But I know realistically many of you need this container. So make it easy on yourself to have everything in one container. But if you want to join me on other platforms, it is free to subscribe. I do have paid subscriptions set up, but if you do not want to pay me for a subscription, I'm not upset. The email newsletter will be a free resource going forward. I know in the past I've made that a kept resource. This work though, the workbook and the courses will be our primary paid materials and opportunities to partner with me in the work. Email newsletter, filling out the survey to give your information about the places you live to the world. That'll be opportunities for you to work with me no matter what your budget is. So in the meantime, I will see you on any of these platforms, whichever platform that you watch me on here today. I will see you on those platforms, and I hope that you all are having the best 2024 thus far. And don't put pressure on yourself. Let's just hang in there, and let's continue to do the liberation and justice work we need to do. Until next time, y'all, have a good one.